Hello and welcome to the E2 tutorial YouTube channel. In today's video, we will learn how to create stacked column charts in Tableau. Before we continue, I want to explain what a stacked column chart is. But let's start with a column chart. A column chart is simply a vertical bar graph. But a stacked column chart is a vertical bar graph where each bar is divided into colored sections representing different subgroups or categories. Now, stacked column charts are used to show how multiple categories or elements contribute to a whole, making them useful for visualizing compositions and comparisons. In the example we would look at today, the data we have shows us the number of dogs that enter into an animal shelter each year in the United States. We have different groups for these dogs: adopted, euthanized, returned to owner, and other. So all of these groups are related to the dogs that enter an animal shelter. We would use a stacked column chart to create that colored section to show these different categories. Also, as part of the stacked column chart, to help us explain the data and empathize with it, we would include a picture of a dog called Max. This way, we would be able to effectively tell a story. The other thing we would include as well in this chart is what we call BAN, B-A-N, which stands for Big Associated Number or Big Actionable Number, to give an aggregated statistics on the number or amount of dogs that enter the animal shelter each year. So in a minute, I would show you how we can create this on Tableau Public. Here is our data set. We can see that outcome: adopted, euthanized, returned to owner, and then others, then the number of dogs. We'll import this data set into Tableau and we'll get on with our analysis. All right, so I'm just importing the data into Tableau. I will include the data set and the picture or the image of the dog I have used in the YouTube description link below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment, and share this video with your friends as well. All right, so I'm just going to go to sheet 1. So sometimes you might not know what fields to put into your column and rows or variables to put in there. We could use the show me, and this is a stacked column chart here, and it tells you that we need one dimension, one or more dimensions, then one or more measures, right? That's one way to get an idea of what you need in order to create that stacked column chart. But in our case, I already know what we need. So I'm going to drag the number of dogs. I will put it in the rows, right? That creates that column chart for me. And then I would take the outcome and I'll put it in color, right? So you can see we already have that stacked column chart here, right? The other things are basically trying to edit the column chart to make sure that it looks good and how we want it. So I'm just going to expand on this a little bit, right, somewhere there. Maybe just a little bit more. Okay. Now, then we can edit the colors. Oh, no, sorry, not the colors. We should sort it. Sort. I'm going to sort it based on, yes. So we sort it based on the field name, which is the number of dogs. So that way we have the adopted at the bottom, and it goes like that. Then I put the outcomes in the text label so we can see all of this. And I'll put the number of dogs in the text label as well. So now we will edit the color. I would like to just use blue for everything. So this, this, and this. No, I will reset the, go back to, let's use this one. This one. Good. Yeah, I like it this way. All right. So you can see our stack bar chart is taking shape. Let me just edit this a little bit. Now, I want to make sure that everything is on the same line instead of having it like two lines the way it is here. But before I do that, I'll just turn off the tooltip. I don't want the tooltip to show, right? Because we can see those information there. So text, click on this, take the outcome, put it there, and then we could put everything in center. Yeah, this is how we want it to look like. So apply, okay. Come in here. I want it to match the color. I can make this 10. No, automatic, sorry. So put it, make it 10, put that on automatic. Yes. So all right. So we have that. Let's just make sure. So automatic. Yes. So we do have that already. So we have our column chart created. The next thing we're going to edit the y-axis label, take that out, and also also we would edit the grid lines. We don't need all of the grid lines and even the axis lines as well. So let's start with this. Edit axis. Take that out. Okay, all our borders are turned off. All right. The axis rulers. The rules. None. Yeah, but I want the I do want the grid lines to be able to show us those values on the y-axis, right? So I'm basically leaving that one there. All right, so that is it for sheet one. The other thing we could do as well is we could put the title, fate of the dogs each year, right? And then this is supposed to be for my y-axis labels. And what I would like to do is I would make this so all of this will be, so this should be Tableau bold, and I'll make it 18. And then this I would make Tableau book on size. And on size 10, right? But everything I'll make sure it's black. So apply, all right. So that's what I want. Now, the next thing we would do is we'll create another sheet. So this sheet would have our big action, our big actionable number, which is ban. So we want to show the total number of dogs that enter the animal shelter each year. So we could just drag this into the text label, and you have that 3.333. So this is actually 3.3 million, because remember, it's in thousands, right? So we could format it, number custom, yeah, 0 decimal places. No. Okay. So now it's a bit difficult to format it here, right? Because when Tableau sums everything up, it's giving it to us as 3,300, right? Which is a summation of all these values, right? 1,600, 670, 620, 410. That gives us 3,300. But we want it to be 3.3 million, right? That's basically what we want it to be. So we have to create a calculated field that would allow us to multiply this 3,300 by 1,000 so that we would be able to then format it to just show us 3.3, right? So to do that, let's create a calculated field. I'm just going to call it number of dogs, right? And this would be number of dogs multiplied by 1,000. So anytime you see the calculation is valid, that means whatever you put in the calculated field is good, right? So apply, okay. I would then drag this and put it in text. So now you see that we have that 3.3 million, right? So let's take the other one out. So we only work with the 3.3 million. I will format this, number custom, 0. Now I can make it in millions. I increase this, right? You can see that we make it like this. You can see that 3.3 million, right? That's basically what it means. So this way we could use the units, right? And we can properly show that 3.3 million. So here I'm deciding to keep that 2 decimal place, right? You could decide to make it 1 decimal place or even 0 decimal places. However, you see fit. All right, now the other thing I would do is I want to include just a little bit of description. So we can say 3.3 million dogs, enter no shelters each year in the United States. want this to be 9 and I want this to be 28. So we want it to be very big, and we'd use the Tableau bold. Yeah, that one should be Tableau bold. And then I want the color to be blue. So because I've used this color before, but to get it, you can go to your more colors and make sure you select. So make sure you select the third one, then go all the way to Apple. Then what you want to do is just scroll down to the blue category. So this is the one I used here. So 000099, right? That's the one I use. So you just click on it and click OK. So that's it there. So if you preview it, you can see 3.30 million. So we're just going to apply, click OK, then come to alignment. We'll make it this and that, right? So that's all we would do there. Now we can go over to our dashboard. Remember to set the size. So I want this to be 600 by 600. I will drag a vertical container. I go to layout, make it floating. 600 by 600. Then I'll drag a text box. I'll drop it there. Actually, I'm going to cancel this. Come back here. I would copy this. Go to my dashboard. Then I'll drag it and drop it there, and I'll paste it here. I want that to be at the top first. I could reduce this a little bit from 18 to maybe 16. Yeah, because I don't want it to go to a second line. Then I can drop. What did I do for the vertical container? Okay. I can drop a horizontal container in there. I can take my sheet, I'll put my sheet in there. Then I'm going to turn off the title as well as the legend, right? We don't want that. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. Now, you realize that your stacked column chart just takes up the whole space. But what we could do is we could go here and change it from. So first of all, make sure you're clicked on the sheet, then change it to standard, right? So it uses that same space we had used in our sheet one. I just realized that I did not change the color of the axis to black. So I'm going to go back to sheet one. I'll right click, format, go to axis, make sure it's black, and I put it on 10, right? Because I want it to be legible so people can see it. So dashboard, you can see that looks better now. Then the next thing I would do is to bring in my image, right? I'm going to take an image and just drop it in there. Now it's going to ask you to insert an image, or you can provide a link to the image online. So let's do insert image, choose. So that's the image there. We could fit the image and center the image as well. Okay, so that's it there. Now what I want to do is to make this floating, right? Then I could edit the size to however I want to see fit. And I just want to drop it somewhere there, right? And have some space. Okay, so that's our image of Max. Right. I'm also going to drag a text container as well and put it in there. And then I would type this is shelter dog Max. Right, so I'm just going to make sure I put everything as slanted. And okay, so we have it there. So we'll make sure this is floating as well. We want everything to be floating there. So I would just put it like really close to the chart and make sure that it has the same size. Just lift that up a little bit. All right. So this is Shelter Dog Max, and Max entered the animal shelter in Portland, Oregon in April, and it's still available for adoption today. The last thing I want to put in here is the ban, right? A big actionable number or big associated number. So let's drag sheet 2. Just put it there first. I will make it floating. Drag it down. And then I'm going to turn off the title. Right. Then also put it as entire view. And make sure that I have it as the same size as the other boxes. Right. All right. So you see it just kind of fits in there. Now, one thing I would do is you could see the color is black. I need the color to also match this text here. Right. So let's go back to sheet 2, text this, change this, and that's the color. Apply. Okay. Dashboard. So now they all have matching colors. Yes. So now we all have matching colors. And finally, it's just my choice. You could include that final text there that says created by oh, no. So that means I didn't put it properly. Okay. So this here is our stacked column chart. We've been able to create it. We've showed all the different categories: adopted, euthanized, returned to owner, other/unknown. And then we'll show a picture of an actual shelter dog named Max, as well as a band that shows the total number of dogs that enter animal shelters each year. One last thing that came to my mind, I'm just going to go to text label and I will put all of this in bold, right? So it looks better here when it's in bold, right? And then finally, you want to save this, right? Save to Tableau public as, and then depending on what it shows you, you can create a name. Please try not to save it as book 2 or something. I could just say fate, fate of dogs, right? That's all, and I would hit save. All right. If you find this video helpful, please make sure you subscribe and like the video, as well as share it with your friends. Right. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.